So, thank you all for inviting me, and thanks Professor Prof for taking lead. What we have decided that we will speak some 5 to 10 minutes each, let us say 10 minutes each, and then you can ask whatever the question you want to ask. We would be glad to reply whatever we can. Okay? So first of all, I would say that if you want to understand the implications of the budget, any budget, what you need to understand before reading the budget, you should also understand the economic survey report. So that is important. That is where basically the state of the economy is described, how the economy is performing, what are the fundamental challenges of the macroeconomic fundamental challenges of the economy. And so therefore, what I would like that what has been outlined in the Economic Survey 2015, and then you should read the whatever budget proposal is made in that particular perspective. Because once you understand that what are the macroeconomic fundamentals, what are the challenges economy is facing, and then what are the proposals. One thing also one need to understand that some of the challenges, some of the data, whatever is presented in the economic survey, we need to verify the authenticity of those data. So and once you verify those data, if there is a departure, if you find that the data is not correct or it is misrepresented, then of course you need to give certain correction factor for whatever the proposal is made. And therefore, what I would say that if the last year, I think it was GMP people, they had invited me, and when I said that what are the challenges, and therefore how you should read. The last year we were confronting lot of challenges. The economy was not doing very well. It was first time after, let us say, several years, the growth rate was less than 5%. Contrary to the last year, that is 2012-13, growth was less than 5% projected the last year. Contrary to that, this year, the growth rate of the economy is projected over 7%. In interim period, what has happened that so far, as you know, all of you know, and we have discussed this, that we calculate the GDP at 2 levels. One is at market price, another is at the market price, and another is the real GDP, current prices and the real GDP. So far we were using for calculating the real GDP 2004-5 prices, but the base year has been changed to 10 and 11. Given the new series of the data, what they have found that 12-3 growth rate of the economy is over 6.7% real growth rate, not less than the 5% as it was projected. But we also know that when the growth rate is high, all the macroeconomic variables, most of the if you have growth rate is high, employment should be high, the prices may be rising, but it should not be rising at a very high rate. Inflation rate should be within control, or unless it is a very, very heated economy. But somehow, though economic growth is very high 12-13, but all other macroeconomic fundamental does not corroborate. So therefore, the one fundamental issue that has been raised by the several scholars, as well as by the finance minister himself, that whether the economy has really grown 6.7% in 2012-13 is really questionable. But nonetheless, one of the important factors is that the growth trajectory during the past year has changed, and it is expected that in 2014-15, which will be ending now, given the 3 quarters data, the growth rate will be somewhere close to 7.4%. Of course, he develops a lot, he discusses a lot and very academic kind of paper, the economic survey paper, that whatever is presented, that whether shall we say that we have regained the economic higher growth rate of etc. etc. So he says no, that perhaps what we can say that the trajectory is changing, that we from the low growth rate of 5%, we are moving to high growth rate. We are only at the take-off point. Given this fact, there are three other parameters which is very, very, what do you say, favorable this year. Number one, that there are three factors, macroeconomic, which are make the macroeconomic economy as a whole very vulnerable. Number one is the fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit has risen to, in 12-13, I think it was 7.5% of the GDP, which has come down to, it was estimated 4.2% last year, that in 2014-15 it will be 4.2% of the GDP, but the actual figure is coming almost 4.1%. So whatever was anticipated, in fact, so therefore the fiscal deficit is under control. That is one of the very important factor. The second important factor is the inflation rate. Inflation rate is also under control, and the wholesale price index, of course, in third quarter, second quarter and third quarter substantially declined, but even consumer price index is not increasing above 5%. So that is another important factor, and that gives a lot of scope and leverage to the finance minister to make a budget which can be more lead to economic for vibrant and for higher growth trajectory, etc. So that is the second. And the third important factor, as all of you know, and you might have noticed it, the current account deficit on trade had reached to 4.5% on the 13-14, which is absolutely under control, and it is less than 2% in the second and third quarter, and it is likely to be much lower. Not only this, the net capital flow, now they have clubbed it, all kinds of the financial portfolio flows has increased tremendously. So therefore, what you can see that the economy, both in terms of growth rate, in terms of basic fundamentals like the prices, inflation rate, etc., is under control, and on the international account also there is a favorable kind of situation. So therefore, the very favorable situation. Given this kind of situation, then what are the potential and what are the proposal which has been proposed, whether it will lead to a higher growth rate trajectory. Now, if you look to the goal of what finance minister has said, that we need to create opportunities for the people. So that is one of the goals. And if you read little bit between lines, and I will not go, and the Professor Sen will give you a lot of details, this growth has to come from the development of the more businesses, particularly from small and medium-sized SME, small and medium-scale businesses, and for which Mudra, another agency, has been created, for which there was a lot of demand that the small and medium-sized businesses, for them there is no refinancing kind of business. So like Nava, and I only hope that it will not become white elephant like a National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. So it will not become a very big white elephant. So that is what, and the 20,000 crores of rupee has been allocated to them. So having said that, so that is second challenges they have identified is that we have to look into the large masses of this country are very vulnerable, and therefore we need to protect. So therefore social safety need to be created sufficiently. So these are basically this is the trajectory, this is the state of the economy, state of economy is very favorable, the inflation rate is low, the current account deficit is under control, and the fiscal deficit is under control. So therefore, it was expected that the budget of research that it can lead to a revolutionary kind of change. However, the finance minister also said that the big bang change cannot be brought at this stage because it can be brought only when there is economy is facing crisis. Therefore, only incremental changes will be possible. We are not going to wholeheartedly big reforms. So that also he has outright ruled out in the very beginning. So that is one part of it. What it has missed perhaps, if you look to the whole, so therefore he has revised some of the estimates. Like for example, it was expected that by 16-17, the total fiscal deficit will be brought down to 3%, which is estimated currently it is 4.1%. Next year it was to be brought down, 16-17 it was to be brought down to 3%. However, he has revised this can be brought down to 3% only in 17-18. So there is some minor correction he has done in his budget proposal. But what I do not find that given this kind of very favorable situation, so that is one challenge he has identified, and therefore he said that he will go only incrementally. But what he has not identified, how he is going to increase the total revenue, tax revenue particularly. It is likely to be 10%, around in vicinity of 10% of the total GDP. The maximum tax to GDP ratio has been achieved when the economy was growing at 9%. It was 2007, 2008. At that time, I think tax to GDP ratio was 11.7%. So neither he has not looked into that how we can, and only 4-5% people of this country pay the taxes, and lot of tax evasion has been done. So therefore, there is no proposal in the budget whatsoever that how the finance minister is going to increase the tax net and how he is going to increase the number of people within the tax bracket, etc. So there is, I think I found there is no proposal for it. So that is one part of this. So I personally find that it is broadly what is missing, that he has not identified way and means to increase the total pool. So that is one part. The second problem what he has identified is that there is a bottleneck. There is a bottleneck in our infrastructure and we need to. And because of the 14th Finance Commission, which says that the share of the central tax revenue has to be, for the state has to go up from 32% to 42%, and therefore the total tax whatever is collected, because larger share is going to the state, therefore total amount of the resources available for the center is marginally lesser. However, the non-tax revenue, he has proposed, because again I think it will be something like that what Mr. Adil series used to go, that we are going to have some kind of disinvestment, and he has tried that he has estimated that the non-tax revenue is likely to go up. So therefore, but how that, where from it will come, that is not very clearly defined in the budget proposal. So therefore, what I am saying that he has not put a very clear effort that where from the resources will be coming, how the total public resources, public fund will be mobilized. So that is one part of it. So that is one part of it. The second problem he has very rightly identified, that the agriculture income is under stress and it needs to be improved upon. And whatever, there are some good proposals, and some good proposal which was actually proposed by the previous government, they have bundled it somehow and put in very different form, irrigation, etc. and the accelerated irrigation program has been converted into Pradhan Mantri. So same program, I would say that more or less, little bit modification, little bit at ease, the more money will be allocated to. But I personally, being agricultural economics, I personally feel that there is a serious constraint in. There is no breakthrough in agricultural technology. The technology is not going to help, other than the expanding a little bit here, there, irrigation, etc. So the major source of the agricultural growth need to come from the institutional innovation. And I think there has been no discussion, and it all has been left to the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, and most of the resources has gone to them and to the Ministry of Rural Development. And basically, the more or less, most of the programs are a little bit repacked. So therefore, though he has very rightly recognized there is stress in agriculture, agricultural income, agricultural productivity need to be increased, but he does not identify the appropriate way, particularly in institutional innovation, where, and particularly important because you have more than 80% of the Indian farmers with less than 1 hectare and 1.5 hectare of the farmer. You need to aggregate the output product at some level and find some way to market it properly. And those efforts, and though it says that there will be some effort will be made to make integrated agricultural marketing system, but it is only how it will be done, it all has not been elaborated, therefore difficult to understand that what it will be done in that particular. So that is the second part which I personally believe the right problem is rightly identified. But the solution is basically stereotypic, it is not going to make much of the dam. The third issue which I find is important is in terms of this, the consumption, increase in the consumption, and all of you have understood, has a lot of cascading impact in the short run as well as in medium run. So in 12-13, the consumption expenditure increased by 4.5%, 13-14, it increased by 7.4%, and it is expected that this year it will increase by 7.6%. So therefore, and this all is coming because of the increase in income. There is no, all of you, we know that there has not been any kind of, major kind of the tax exemption to the people which was expected, but particularly income tax exemption and supply. Whatever little has come, it has come more from the, somewhere you have to make investment. I mean, and those things can be achieved because in theory you can say that people can save. And if you have up to 4,75,000 annual income, you don't need to pay the taxes. But if you have to 4.75 lakh, you have to make investment or save, you should have, my calculation says that it's, you should have income of somewhere close to 15 to 20 lakh. So lot of people will not be able to achieve those kinds of income, and therefore much of the exemption, whatever you have is proposed in the budget, will not be accruing to the people, and therefore the consumption, whatever has likely to be increased, it has to only come from the whatever income is like real income which is expected next year in the close vicinity of 8 to 8.5. The best of the thing is that it is not only the government of India. I looked to some of the other data set which also says that the growth of Indian economy is likely to be much better than what is anticipated. So everybody is advising that India will be growing faster than, so that is the passive part of it. The industrial and manufacturing sector, they expect that they contribute a lot. The manufacturing sector, they did very well during the third quarter of this, that is December, ending December and January. But as you have seen, the manufacturing and industrial sector both has receded. Basically, in the fourth quarter, they are not doing as well as and there is no, and it is all depends upon, though I am not fully, I will not support wholeheartedly the way they are going to revise the land acquisition land, but then there is a need to revise because 80% and 70% people give consent for anything is very, very difficult. Only 5 to 10% of people are sufficient to stop anything in this country. So you don't, so therefore this is a very, very stringent. And if you have read day before yesterday, I think, or yesterday, the Mr. Jairam Ramesh, who was the architect of the previous Land Acquisition Act, he said that there is a clause, public clause, that for public interest you can rule out this 80% clause will not be applicable. But how much you can do? Everywhere you say the public interest. Public, you can do for public interest for the hospital, you can do it for the schools, you can do it for this maybe defense, etc. Even for the roads, etc., it will be rather, people will be challenging it that how can you use the same clause 100 times. So therefore, I would say that the Congress, the other opposition to the Land Acquisition Act is not favorable. On the other hand, the wholehearted, the way they want to go, there is more of information asymmetry in the land market rather than the problem of whether the people get the right price or not. So therefore, because if I give my one example, which is from my, because you said this road comes, 4-lane road comes, before anyone from my village could come to know that lot of capitalist people, lot of people, those who had money, they knew that the road is going to come and they bought my village land. So therefore, this way the people are cheated. So it is a more of information asymmetry rather than the people's ability to sell at the right price, kind of. So that is what we need to make somehow some of these micro management of the microeconomy is important, particularly in land. The service sector, the growth rate is expected to be 10.4% in order to achieve that 8.5% of the growth rate. And the major contribution in financial and the real estate market, it is expected 13.4%. And as all of you know, the financial growth rate do not contribute to the real economy. So that is one basic problem. So defense 9% growth. So therefore, in the service sector, so unless we strengthen the manufacturing sector, which I find there is a lot of, other than this your mudra plan, so to support the small and marginal businesses and enterprise, etc., etc. I think if the service sector has to contribute the way it has to contribute, I think it is important that the manufacturing sector need to be given more impetus. So that is the all I would like to say at this stage, and I think this Professor, and then whatever question you have.